almost all that gone. So the punchline of what I was trying to get at for cravings is, number one, you got to check your numbers. Those numbers really do make a difference when it comes not just in improving your accountability, but I don't think Stacy would have made it to the end of, we're almost at 6 weeks for her. So middle of September, November 1st. So about 6 weeks, which is, again, that's the end of the golden zone when they're usually feeling good. Now, she was able to lose the weight. She was able to see that she is struggling, but without the numbers, this brilliant analytical woman would have totally given up. Like, I don't believe in the keto diet. It just doesn't work. I can't see it. And I would say, no, don't do that. You have a low production of your ketones happening. And it's because of your carb timing. I mean, she was eating later in the evening, and she really has, that transition of a female metabolism with babies, with a busy job. So that constant low layer of high cortisol, where she has had in the past the time and the space to exercise it off. And I will contend, I've seen this in woman after woman of 20 years, that they get to a threshold and they just can't exercise enough. If they keep exercising, something else falls apart. A marriage, the parenting of a child, a job, self-confidence, all of the things that if their coping skills to deal with, keeping their figure and keeping that intensity that was somehow possible at all hours of the day in your 20s and early 30s, now with 3 kids and a full-time job, there's not enough hours to work off the stress and the metabolism that changes. And it's this little insidious process that happens deep inside their cells. When you have an analytical woman like Stacy and you can show her, look, this is what's happening. Trust me, put ketones in circulation, your mitochondria will begin to use them. The one thing that I told her not to do is I told her to, because she's not keto adapted yet, she's not making enough ketones to switch to the C8C10. I'm like, no, you need to just do straight BHB. And she's like, the other one tastes better. And I'm like, I know, it has fat in it. So add a little heavy cream and some ice and, sip on that for 3 hours as you do your day, in between patients, in between seeing folks. Have a little of those ketones. The ketones only last 2 hours in your system, 2 to 3 hours. So whatever your body doesn't use, you're going to pee out, but you have pushed the metabolism for those cells for those 2 to 3 hours. And it's amazing how much practicing that over the course of the next 2 weeks will do for her. And I know there's been seasons where she did a really good job and then life got stressful and she couldn't do it. And now I'm pushing her again to say, let's do this again, which brings me to my personal challenges. I have had a similar problem to what Stacy is, which is in the same stage I've been at for probably 8 months. And I recall the last time I broke through to, take off that next layer of weight and just really, and it was when I was writing the last book. So I'm looking to have this increased cognitive function. And I know that if I would I was doing a 72-hour fast every week at that stage. And I couldn't believe how much better my numbers were, but also it was just enough to push through that breakthrough of weight loss. It's not a lot of pounds, but it's that same thing that's happening to Stacy, is those extra 6 or 7 pounds become like, oh, that's just the new normal. And to step back down into what I feel safer at. I feel like my metabolism is better. My brain works better. I need to focus on my own, not just weight loss, but really metabolic health. And so I was looking at because I don't take supplements every day. I take them on this show because people are really, they really watch and see that it does make a difference. And it's a huge teachable moment to say, do I take blood pressure medicines? No, I don't have high blood pressure. Do I take diabetes medicines? No, I don't have diabetes. Do I take ketone supplements? Not usually. I am metabolically adapted. So when I look at supplements, I use them in patients, in people who are struggling. But in the last season, I've had this struggle where I'm just at a set point. I have really tried to carve out time to do this writing in this book. And as this deadline comes up for Puerto Rico, I know that it's not my best performance. I've done better than this. I've done better at focusing and getting those, so many words per day written, and just not letting the distractions win. And so my challenge for me is that I will use a supplement every day for the next 7 days, and that I will do it somewhere around that 11 to 3 o'clock zone, as opposed to what I have done in the past, which would be a 72-hour fast. So let me tell you the difference. Okay, when I do a 72-hour fast, my whole family feels like they lose the mom. I can't handle being around food. I can't handle being tempted. My life, my family's life is really impacted when I fast that long. I can get away with it one day. I've improved my skills where I'll start fasting somewhere in the middle of Sunday and I'll make it till Tuesday night. But it's not that easy when I push that all the way to Wednesday night, because of what happens with kids and schedules and being just a busy family. So I also know myself well enough that, say, if I am going to start doing that, the disruption in my family will impact me with, that mom guilt thing where I'm putting my needs above my family's, and it's just something I don't do very well. I would not do that. So I said, what's the next best thing I could do in a time where I just need to step up my game for the ketogenic diet? And that is to add a supplement before the cravings hit me at 5 o'clock. Supply my system with ketones at around that noon, and then watch to see how well I'm able to use bone broth at supper like I usually did when I was fasting. Can I resurrect some of those patterns of behavior that I've used in the past to get the skill of intermittent fasting better? And I think this is also, again, I was talking to Stacy, it's really easy for us to tell our patients and our in our professions that it's easy to change behavior as long as you do one thing at a time, and then you stabilize your life after you've made that change, and then you can add the next thing, and we can say this. And just like anybody, I know better than to ask my life right now to add a 72-hour fast on a weekly basis, meaning I will do it in a pattern. It will only disrupt my family and my life, and I will fail. I know that. So as I say, what is the next best thing? And that is add the supplements before the temptation comes. So in my world, that needs to be somewhere between 11 and 3. If I have the ketones at that point, I will do a much better job at supper time, not having, just having bone broth with the family. Like, I'll sit down and I will be able to sit there and not have food, just drink that fourth of a cup of bone broth that I usually do on my 72-hour fast. And it is amazing what happens. So I don't know. We'll see how, I'll tell you next week how this goes. So I'm going to check.
Please subscribe to my channel. And don't forget to click the notification bell so you don't miss out on any new videos. Stay tuned.